Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Bulkley, licensed psychotherapist and co-founder of Therapy Associates and Star Guides Wilderness Therapy. Welcome to Parent Guide, the podcast where we cut through the noise and give you real evidence-based tools to help your teen to break free from pornography addiction and to rebuild a healthy, resilient life. So if your son or daughter has been in recovery, and if you have blocked every explicit site that you can find, and if you've had the hard conversations and thought, well, we've turned the corner, only to watch them slip back into that cycle again, then this episode is going to hit you right in the chest. Here's the hook that shocks every parent I sit with in my office. The algorithm doesn't need to serve your teen hardcore pornography anymore. It can keep them hooked for hours, sometimes days, using nothing but high intensity gym motivation, bodybuilding transformations, esports highlights, and victory montages till the recommendations quietly slide into softcore gateway content that becomes their new dopamine fix. No search history, no block sites triggered, just endless personalized, algorithmically engineered dopamine. Parents, today we're exposing exactly how these hidden digital gateways work, the real brain science that makes them so dangerous, and 2 true stories from my practice that will make your stomach drop, and most importantly, the exact steps that you can take right now to slam the door shut. And just know this isn't fear-mongering. This is the reality that we see every week in our clinic at Therapy Associates in St. George and in our Star Guides Wilderness. So stick with me. This one could save your teen months or even years of relapse and heartbreak. So let's dive in. Let me walk you through exactly what's happening behind the screen, because once you see the mechanism, you'll never look at your teen's phone the same way again. Social media sites like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Reels, Facebook, they all run on something called collaborative filtering. And it's the same recommendation engine that Netflix uses, but it's turbocharged for teens whose brains are wired for novelty and reward. The algorithm doesn't think in categories like fitness or gaming. It watches patterns of watch time, pause behavior, rewind, and how long someone lingers. And here's how the funnel actually works in real life. Let's say, for example, your teen starts with clean, high-intensity gym motivation. Videos like 6-minute abs or bodybuilding transformation or no excuses workout montages. And the algorithm, it doesn't just note fitness, it notices users who watch this exact pattern also watch videos with slower motion, muscle shots, more revealing clothing, and borderline softcore fitness modeling. And shared metadata tags like dopamine, high intensity transformation, alpha mindset create invisible bridges. The same thing happens with gaming. So, for example, clean esports highlights turn into thirst trap gaming clips, female streamers in tight outfits, and reaction videos that are basically soft porn with a controller. A 2025 study from the Institute for Strategic Dialogue set up fake teen profiles interested only in gaming. And within days, the algorithm was pushing violent and sexually explicit content to both 14-year-old boy and girl profiles, regardless of what they actually searched. And researchers have documented these quote unquote rabbit holes for years. A landmark analysis in Policy and Internet followed YouTube's related channel and video recommendations and found entire communities of sexually suggestive content that the algorithm funnels users into, starting from seemingly innocent seeds. Even the e-safety commissioner in Australia has warned that algorithms amplify unrealistic masculine ideals and slide boys toward violent pornography, misogyny through looks maxing and fitness content. So I call this algorithmic funnel. It starts innocent and ends with your teen getting the exact same dopamine hit that they used to get from explicit porn without ever even typing in a single risky search. And parents tell me, but we blocked Pornhub. We blocked X videos, but it doesn't matter. The platform is now creating the replacement and it finds your teen automatically. Well, parents, let's talk now about what this does inside your teen's developing brain, because the neuroscience is terrifyingly clear. Every time that next video autoplays, it hijacks the prefrontal cortex, the brain's brake pedal for impulse control, long-term planning, and decision making. Non-explicit sensory triggers like the slow motion muscle flexes or heavy breathing and workout clips, victory celebrations with revealing outfits. They flood the brain with dopamine, the exact same chemical that explicit porn releases. A study in the 2015 review in Behavioral Sciences on the neuroscience of internet pornography addiction explains how repeated dopamine spikes lead to neuroplastic changes. The reward system gets sensitized. The prefrontal cortex shows reduced activity, referred to as hypofrontality, and impulse control weakens. And an fMRI study published in Neuropsychopharmacology found that men with problematic porn use showed heightened ventral striatal activation, specifically to cues predicting erotic content, exactly like substance addiction cue reactivity. It's the same brain reaction. And over time, the brain starts associating these so-called safe videos with the same reward pathway as hardcore material. So that's why teens who have been in recovery tell me, I wasn't even looking for porn. It just kept showing up. And so the takeaway here is their willpower wasn't necessarily broken. It's that they were being neurologically funneled back into an addiction loop designed by social media. 2019 review even noted that porn use correlates with erosion of the prefrontal cortex, making the brain behave in a more juvenile state with poor impulse control. And most recently, research from last year, 2025 research shows that exercise itself can sometimes act as a double-edged sword. While it generally protects against addiction, for some it intensifies problematic porn use when it's tied to body image triggers and dopamine seeking. And the algorithm knows this and exploits it perfectly. So let's make this concrete with two stories from my practice, and of course name changed, but the details are real. So call him Jake, had been porn free for about 4 months, and his parents were actually pretty encouraged. And then they noticed the grades started to slip again, and he became more moody, started to be more withdrawn, started to lock his bedroom door more frequently. And so as part of his therapy, one day Jake had admitted that he had started watching gym motivation videos for workout ideas, but after about a week or so, the algorithm started showing fitness model videos with almost nothing on, very provocatively dressed female fitness models. And he said, I told myself it wasn't porn, but I felt the exact same rush, is how he described it. Then 2 weeks later, said that he was back on the real stuff. And this all happened with no search history, no visiting, no explicit sites. It was just the algorithm doing the heavy lifting, so to speak. And the problem was Jake's prefrontal cortex was still rebuilding from his recovery efforts, and the funnel hijacked it before he even realized what was happening. So case scenario 2, Tyler, age 17. Tyler, a huge Fortnite and Valorant player, and after finishing his treatment, he switched to watching pro highlights to stay connected without actually playing the game. And within about 10 days or 2 weeks, the suggestions in his social media started moving to hot gamer girls react to epic clutches, which then started to lead to more revealing outfits and softcore content videos. And Tyler told me it felt less shameful than typing in porn into a Google search. So he said, I just let it play. Same funnel, different entry point, but yet the same results. And Tyler's parents had every filter in place, but the algorithm bypassed all of them. And parents, I've literally seen this dozens more times like this over the last probably 2 years. And the common thread, well, it's that the teens believe that they're just watching something clean, but the brain registers the same reward as when they were watching more explicit pornography. So parents, just know you're not powerless here. And I want to give you some steps that I have been giving every family in my practice over the last year or so to intervene and to disrupt this pattern when it starts to manifest. So number 1 would be to kill the autoplay and the suggestions immediately. So, and this would be to go in to whatever the social media platform is, whether it's so for YouTube, you go into settings to the autoplay and shut it off. And with TikTok and Instagram, so you go in and you shut off the suggested for you. And the research shows simply by removing the algorithmic recommendations that it dramatically reduces exposure to harmful material. Second would be to create a weekly watch history reset rule. So this would look something like every Sunday night, you have your teen bring you their phone or their device that they use for social media, and you clear the watch and search history together. And what that does is it forces the algorithm on those sites to start fresh, and that weakens the funnel. Third, replace the funnel with intentional content. So in other words, the way that you do this, you will want to purposefully create a private playlist of clean, high energy videos that don't involve comments or up next. And you can use browser extensions or parental controls that block sidebars. And, to reinforce that, studies on digital detox show that reducing passive algorithmic scrolling improves mood, sleep, and self-control, just a byproduct of that. So the thing is, we are wanting to rebuild the prefrontal cortex muscle, so to speak. And that is so vital in the early stages of recovery. And so parents, this is where if you are not already using the Recovery Toolbox for Teens, this is where using these resources would come in. Recovery Toolbox for Teens is a literal week-by-week evidence-based curriculum and program. Includes a wide range of interventions from mindfulness activities to dopamine reset challenges and scripts for you as parents, specifically designed to help break the algorithmic loops and other aspects of the addictive process. And I've had many families over the last few years tell me that it is the missing piece when blocking sites alone fails. So you can get the Recovery Toolbox for Teens at the therapyassociates.net website. It's in the bookstore. It's the blue version, and it includes the Breaking Free workbook. It includes the parent guide. It includes the 101 tips for quitting porn. And it's a great curriculum that you can use either as a parent-led intervention at home, or you can use it in conjunction with an outpatient therapist, a clinician who is comfortable working with teen pornography addiction issues. And it's the same curriculum that we use here at our clinic in St. George at Therapy Associates and in our Star Guides program. And parents, when we're dealing with more complex and deeper cases where there's a pattern of multiple relapses, or there's chronic lying or isolation or sexual acting out or severe mental health issues, or if parents, if you've just kind of got to that spot where you have lost any capacity to have influence in your teen's life, then you're probably in need of a full digital detox and nervous system reset. That's where our Star Guides Wilderness Therapy program comes in. And this is going to provide, typically about a 4-month, no phone, wilderness immersion, intensive clinical work that rebuilds the brain from the ground up, researched on nature-based therapy, and our outcomes consistently show improvements in self-efficacy, emotional regulation, screen addiction recovery. So, and I can tell you, I've watched it transform cases that nothing else could touch over the years. So you can learn more about Star Guides, the website at starguides.net. So parents, you got to know the algorithm is smarter than ever, but you are smarter when you're informed. And so you now know about these hidden gateways, and you know how to block them. You know how to get the exact tools that your teen needs. So intervene today. Make sure that your teen is not secretly being pulled back into the addictive process by the subtle algorithm of these social media sites. So parents, I want you to do 2 things. 1, subscribe, and make sure to tune in each week for strategies, tips, guidance, and support in your teen's recovery journey. And then secondly, if you haven't done so, get the Recovery Toolbox for Teens, therapyassociates.net in the bookstore. It's this practical roadmap that I wish every parent had. And as we talked about, for these severe situations, visit starguides.net and learn about the wilderness program that will give your family a true fresh start. Parents, you've got this. Your teen can break free from these hidden digital gateways. I'm here to help every step of the way. Thanks for tuning in. I know how valuable your time is, and I hope that you have found something that will be of help for this upcoming week. And I will see you in the next episode. Take care. Stay one step ahead of the algorithm.